Disney had a lot of movies come out in 2025, and I was following them all year to see what was successful and what wasn't successful, and what surprised me and what didn't surprise me at all. Did I see any of them? No. No, I didn't. Disney started off with Captain America Brave New World in February. This was their first Marvel movie of the year. It didn't do great. It probably didn't make money. $415 million for a Marvel movie is not a good start to the year, and kind of a sign of things to come for the Marvel franchise, I would say. I don't think people like this one as much as the other Marvel movies that came out this year, but it didn't really matter. They all kind of made about the same amount of money. In March, Disney released Snow White, a live-action remake of the Snow White movie from the late 30s. I didn't think anyone would care about this movie because it's a live-action remake of a movie from the late 30s. And if you've seen the original Snow White lately, it feels like a product of a very different time in cinema and entertainment. This was a huge bomb. It didn't make its budget back, even though there was a lot of controversies with this movie about its casting of its Snow White, about its casting of the villain, about its casting of the dwarves. Like, look, man, I think nobody gives a shit about Snow White. So that ended up being true. Nobody gave a shit about this movie. In April, The Amateur came out. This was a smaller budget movie at about $60 million, starring Rami Malek. It was from 20th Century Studios, which I like to refer to as the adult-targeted studio in Disney's portfolio. I appreciate that they're starting to make mid-budget movies now, 60 million, 45 million, whatever. This probably lost money, so not too much to say about that. Thunderbolts came out in May. This was I couldn't figure out if it's still called Thunderbolts Asterix or Thunderbolts something something Avengers, but it came out in May. It made less money than Captain America Brave New World. People seem to like it, but it also probably didn't make money. I imagine that was probably the least profitable of the three that came out this year, and not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Lilo and Stitch came out May 23rd. I was very surprised by this one. I figured, being the 90s kid and seeing less interest in live action remakes of movies like Little Mermaid, that well had run dry and people just wouldn't show up for that sort of thing anymore. Lilo and Stitch was a minor success from the 2000s. While there was like TV show and other stuff like that, I just didn't feel like there was that much people invested in Lilo and Stitch, and I was wrong. Like, they spent less money on this movie. It made $1 billion, so I kind of think maybe this might have been a Disney streaming original that they upgraded when they went, why are we putting movies out for the streaming service? That doesn't make any sense. Not unlike Moana 2. So $1 billion. I'm thinking the nostalgia window has shifted from the 90s, because I'm old, into the 2000s and later. I do think there's not a lot to draw from in the 2000s era Disney. Like, you had this as a minor success, but not long after you got things like Home on the Range and like Bolt and Meet the Robinsons and stuff that just didn't make anything at all. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to mine from that era of Disney. I think you're going to have to get into the post Princess and the Frog era to do live action remakes where people actually like those properties. But I was very surprised there. That was the mailman, I think. Yeah, it did well. It did very well. Elio in June did not. It actually bombed. It didn't make back its budget. It is another original Pixar movie that people just don't want to show up for. The Pixar original curse continues. In July, Fantastic Four First Steps came out. This one maybe made money. Like, I think they thought this one was going to be the big one. The big one that would be like, oh yeah, people are into Marvel. This is the Fantastic Four. This is a period piece that's doing all kinds of crazy stuff and leading into the Avengers movie. And it made $520 million. It wasn't a top 10 movie of the year. It probably made money, but it's not totally certain. Like, I'd be really nervous if I was Disney and all three of my Marvel movies came out and they all were like debatably profitable, especially this one. This one felt like it was supposed to be the one that people liked, and I think people liked it, but there's less people to like it. There's less of a go see all the Marvel movies fans. Freakier Friday came out in August. This one was another lower budget movie at only $45 million. So, yay, mid-budget movies. It did seem to make a little bit of money, so good for them. I didn't expect much of anything out of this one. I didn't think Freaky Friday of all things would be something that would have a legacy sequel, but when you don't spend that much money on stuff, it can make money. Speaking of the opposite of that, Tron Ares came out in October, and holy crap, this was a bomb. Didn't make back its budget. Nobody wanted this. No, like the Tron series in general is not a particularly successful series with a whole bunch of entries. It's not Star Wars, right? Like you had the original that maybe the technical stuff is more notable than its actual success or driving of a franchise. The sequel came out years and years later and did okay. Like I don't know why this was dragged out of production hell into being a movie that came out in theaters. I was talking with someone that said that the problem was with Jared Leto. Like people don't like Jared Leto. Jared Leto's toxic, controversial, whatever. Like, yeah, sure, I guess. Like I just don't think Tron as a franchise has much going for it. I don't think people care that much, and that's basically it. It just seems like a pretty dead franchise to me. There was a couple movies on this list that I didn't realize were going to be like full budget movies, major motion pictures, but this is one of them. October 24th, Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere came out, and I didn't realize they spent $55 million on this. Like, I guess if Freakier Friday is on this list, then I have to put Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere on this list as well. It didn't make its budget back. I think it was supposed to be an awards season movie, so there's like different economics for that, but I don't get the feeling that this one was particularly like notable. It seemed like pretty tropey for a music biopic. Like it wasn't the Queen movie. Like the Queen movie did really, really well. I think it was a top 10 grossing movie of the year it came out, and this wasn't. I guess you could just say it just did bad. Predator Badlands came out November 7th. This one was looking promising. Like the first weekend was pretty good, but it dropped off pretty fast. So like you see the first weekend, you're like, oh, it's gonna be profitable. That's good, and people like it. And then it just by third week, it wasn't doing great. I don't understand why they released these in November and not like October Halloween season. I know it's not the most horror thing in the world, but it feels Halloween-y to me. This one probably lost money, which sucks. Like Predator, Prey, the previous Predator movie came out on streaming, and it was great, and people really liked it, and it did some notable things. And I would have expected this director to, I guess, deliver a gross that did more than this, but I don't know. We'll see where they go with the Predator franchise from now. But if I was one of the bean counters, I wouldn't be thrilled about it. Zootopia 2 came out November 26th. That was the second highest grossing movie of the year. Hugely popular in China, hugely popular everywhere. They're going to make a shit ton of money off of it. Yeah, animated sequels to Disney movies make a lot of money. So they're going to keep doing it until we stop watching it. Ella McKay came out December 12th. I didn't know anything about this movie until it came out and nobody watched it. They spent $35 million on it and basically got almost no gross in return. This was an adult targeted movie. And frankly, I didn't know it existed, so who cares? It's a margin of error level loss for Disney. I wouldn't want to flush $35 million down the toilet, but they made up for it on Zootopia, so like whatever. Avatar Fire and Ash came out December 19th. It's made over $1 billion, but It looks like it's going to do a lot less than previous entries, which makes, I think, the future of the franchise kind of a question mark. James Cameron has said that maybe if they're going to do more, they need to do it more cheaply, and they need to film it at the same time, like 2 and 3. And I've never been a believer that much in Avatar as a franchise. Like, I don't know anyone that's like really into Avatar in comparison to like Star Wars or Marvel, but it has very large grosses in the first two, so maybe people just didn't need another one so fast. Maybe I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's a franchise that's going to keep going as like a pillar of their business or anything like that. So that was their 2025. There was big successes, big failures, and as much as I critique and crap on Disney when it comes to that, of just making too many movies at too high budgets and seeing what happens. Like, this is like the movie industry nowadays. Like, you got big swings and hit some out of the park and you fail on others, and it seems like the entire movie industry is going to have to figure out what to do in the future about making movies more cheaply or making less movies or doing something different, with Netflix being bought by somebody, or sorry, Netflix, with Paramount being, sorry, Paramount was bought by somebody. Warner Brothers Discovery is going to be bought by somebody. They're still determining who at this point in time. If it's Netflix, like, there might be a lot of changes, so we'll see what happens. But Disney had a year